And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight Joe Moldover here to give us the inside scoop on his brand new book out now, To the End of Reckoning. Joe, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you so much for having me. I am delighted to be here, and I'm so happy to talk about To the End of Reckoning. To the End of Reckoning is my adult mystery debut. I've always wanted to write a mystery. I'm thrilled to have this out in the world. To the End of Reckoning is told by 23-year-old Lukas Moore. And Lukas Moore is a character who has spent the last 5 years before the book began in New York City trying to make it as a stage actor. He was sleeping on couches, he was waiting tables, he was doing everything he could to make it on the stage. And he finally got his big break. He got his big break as Stanley Kowalski in a revival of A Streetcar Named Desire. It was everything he ever dreamed of. It was going to change his life. And before opening night, he got a call that his father had been in a life-threatening car accident and he needed to go home. So Lukas goes home and he winds up caring for his father, Dr. Richard Moore, a brilliant psychiatrist who has sustained a traumatic brain injury and is no longer able to care for himself. He gives up his dreams and he becomes his father's caretaker. And the book begins about a year after that has happened, as they set off to solve the mystery of a neighbor and former colleague who has gone missing and is presumed dead by suicide, although Richard has doubts.
Well, there is a lot to talk about there, and I can't wait to get into every bit of it. First, I just want to welcome everyone so whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you are in the right place. It is the right time. It is Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make it a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, friends. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Joe about this mystery, this character, Lukas, his segue from YA into adult, anything that's going on in your mind, just get it into the comments and I'll get it right over to Joe. Randy is joining us live from YouTube saying, hi, Sara and Joe. Hi, Randy. So good to have you. Robin is joining us from Facebook saying, hello all from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Hello, Robin. Welcome. Renee is joining us from Southeast Florida saying, hi, Sara and Joe. Hi, Renee. So good to have you. Sharon is joining us from YouTube saying, howdy, Sara and Joe. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you, Miss Sharon. I'm so good to see you feeling better. Good to have you here as always. Renee is saying, Joe, I absolutely love this book. I give it 5 stars. Okay, so Renee is one of my regular mavens. We've been together for 6 years now? Renee, the whole 6 years I've been doing this series. So Renee, tell us what you loved about the book in the comments. Joe, let's start here with, this is your first mystery and your first adult book. So let's take that one piece at a time. First of all, why did you want to write YA and why did you now want to write adult?
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you for all of that. And thank you, Renee, for the kind comment. And I've written YA for years. And the thing that brought me to YA was the voice. I love writing in a young voice. Writing in sort of an adolescent voice is something that kind of helps me to, just access parts of myself, access emotions that in my, current, fully grown, middle-aged form are less accessible to me. So the YA voices just work for me, and I love writing that way. And I love writing for a young audience, and I love getting feedback from young people about what my writing has meant to them or how it's affected them. And so the world of YA is fantastic, and I love it. I wanted to connect with a wider audience. I wanted to connect with adult readers. I always felt like I was writing for young people, and teenagers certainly can read this book. I hope they do read this book, but I wanted to reach a wider audience, and I wanted to reach an adult audience as well.
So, Joe, let me just ask you, because you are clearly probably not 17, nor am I. I'm 30 years older than that. I'm 31 years older than that. I'm 48. What do you love about writing in an adolescent voice? How the hell do you remember like what that was? I can't remember my adolescent voice. She was a long time ago. No, Joe is, fun fact, a child psychologist. So you are interacting with young people, I guess.
Yeah. I'm around young people all the
Okay.
time. I also have 4 kids of my own who are broadly adolescent, young adult age. So, I mean, these voices are sort of very present around me. I think just the other thing I would say is that I think that my own 17-year-old voice just has remained very present in my head. It's just sort of something I feel like I can slip into. I go through life as an adult. I am a few years older than you. I pay my mortgage. I show up at work on time. I adult, every day. But if I sit down, I am just able to, for whatever reason, I am able to tap in to that young voice. It's almost like if you're singing and you find a particular key,
Ooh,
like you find this sort of voice, you find
okay.
this vibe, and it just opens something up for me and just allows me to be freer and more and less ironic and less jaded. And what I love about 17, I
Ooh,
mean, there
tell
are
us.
a lot of things I don't love. I did not love being 17. There were a lot of not great things about being 17. But one thing I love about 17 is that 17-year-olds, they can see the world, but they haven't really bought into it yet. And
Ooh,
they have this
okay.
quality of innocence about it that I think is just, really pure and charming.
Joe, did you ever watch this show Friends?
Oh yeah.
Remember when Joey auditions as an 18-year-old and he
Yes,
tries
I do know
to
that one.
so
Right.
when I think about trying to take on a 17-year-old voice, I basically am like adult Joey. I'm like, dude, bro, I'm hungry. Like,
Right.
let's watch some Mario Brother. Like, that's not even
Yeah.
Mario. I don't know what the
Yeah.
kids do. Minecraft,
Right.
Guitar Hero. I don't know what they do, Joe, because I'm never around
You
kids.
can't try too hard. You can't try too hard. It's gotta come
Dude,
from, yeah, Friends is still on. You can still catch the reruns. My kids watch Friends. But it's gotta come from the inside out, Sarah. You can't start on the outside and try to sort of talk about all the current things. It's gotta come from like your own inner 17-year-old.
oh my God. Okay. Okay. So we've now identified why you liked to write 17 to write YA, which was to access these voices, these parts of yourself that you, adult Joe, who does in fact pay his bills and go to work every day, does not get to access every day. And after doing that, you now wanted to write for a broader audience, which is why you're segueing into adult. Okay, good. Now let's take it to the second piece of that. Why did you want to write a mystery? Clearly, we here are mystery lovers, and obviously, we think mysteries are cool. But what took you so long to get here?
Well,
Why did
I
you not
have
realize
right. I took the circuitous path. I've always loved reading mysteries. Going back to when I was a kid, my dad loved mysteries. His mom loved mysteries. When I was growing up, there were mystery books all over the house. My dad had the complete works of Sherlock Holmes on the shelf. I read all of them as a kid. I read all the Hardy Boys books. I've just always loved mysteries my whole life. I never knew if I could write one. I always wanted to try. I didn't know if I could do it. And during the COVID shutdown, when we sort of wound up within sort of like weird space and time, and things were kind of on pause, I decided to try.
it?
And
Mhm.
I started working on this, and I did it the same way I read my YA books. I found a voice. And in this case, I found Lucas's voice. And he sort of pulled me into his story. And one thing led to another.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Robin says, oh, no, thank you. I would not like to be 17 again. I would like my 17-year-old energy again. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough, Robin. That is very, very fair. Now back to my question to Renee. She says that she said that it was that one of the funniest lines in her opinion was, quote, it was surprising that it had taken so many years for someone to run my father over with a car. Now, let me just remind you guys, Joe is a psychologist. So, Joe, when did you first realize you had issues with your dad?
That's right. When I wrote this book, that's really funny. Yeah, Renee, thank you for picking out that line. I enjoy that too. I mean, so the book revolves around Lucas and Richard as this father and son pair, and they're kind of a Holmes and Watson kind of a pair. You know, Richard is brilliant. He's eccentric. He's impulsive. He's unfiltered, but he's observant. And then Lucas is kind of running around after him, trying to kind of like, keep everything together and keep him from getting into trouble. And
so the reverse of what is often the father-son.
That's right. That's right. It's the reverse. The son is taking care of the father. And they in lines like that, I think that they are quite exasperated with each other. They drive each other crazy.
Yeah.
They're very different people. I mean, Lucas did not go to college. Richard is a Yale educated psychiatrist. They're very different people. But I think the core of it is that they really love each other. They're really devoted to each other. We learn, no, I'm not going to give anything away, but by the end of the book, it is the case that either one of them would be willing to take a bullet for the other. And what the book is really about is, part of it is solving the mystery of the disappearance of the neighbor, but a lot of it is also trying to solve the mystery of their relationship with each other and just trying to figure each other out, which is, I think, something we all kind of do with our parents as we're getting older.
Interesting. Renee said that was one of the funniest lines. She felt that one of the more poignant, great lines was, fame is not about quality, it's about immortality. Oh, Renee, I love that you've read this book so carefully. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yay. Robin is noting that Renee does not give away 5 stars easily. These are my Mavens regulars. I freaking love my Mavens. I love you guys so much. And so, I love that Robin knows this about Renee, and it's so true. She's like, Renee is giving those 5 stars with great intention. I see your hearts, Renee. Thank you. And she wants to know, where did the title come from? Yeah, let's talk about the title.
Yeah.
Reckoning.
Yeah, to the end of reckoning. I mean, it's taken from Shakespeare. It's from the play Measure for Measure, and the line is truth to the end of reckoning, which is a line that I've always loved. Ray Bradbury also used it in Fahrenheit 451, and it's a wonderful line from Shakespeare. I love going to Shakespearean plays, and that is just a line that I've always loved, and that's part of what this book is about too. Is that what brings Lucas and Richard together, what they have in common, is they're devoted to finding out the truth, no matter where it takes them.
Randy is saying he would love to be 17 again. He would change so much of the mistakes that he made along the way. Oh, that's so interesting, Randy, because I almost wonder, right? Like, I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, I would do so many things differently, but almost also wondering if those mistakes don't make us who we are today. So if you change those things, would you be a different Randy than you are? But we all love you just as you are. So maybe those mistakes made you that Randy. So let's give that some thought. Renee saying she agrees. And then she said she got her first golden at the age of 17, and look at that cutie. Oh my God. I love it. What a great 17. That's fabulous, Renee. Okay. Let's talk about some of the praise that this book got. So first of all, I want to talk about this blurb from AJ Finn, who is, of course, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Woman in the Window. I'm going to pop it up so we can all read it together. And this is what AJ had to say. He said, this is a soulful, moving novel of suspense, a psychological thriller that is genuinely, thrillingly psychological. Joseph Moldover's spellbinding adult debut will involve you and provoke you. Book clubs take note, even as it breaks your heart. A long time after I turned the final page, it still burns in my head, warm and bright and beautiful. What a beautiful rave review from AJ Finn, #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Woman in the Window.
Yeah, lovely.
So, Joe, remind me how many YA books you wrote.
2. I've written 2 YA books, Every Moment After and Just Until.
So let's talk about AJ Finn's, let's break this apart. So in terms of a soulful, moving novel of suspense, a psychological thriller that is genuinely, thrillingly psychological, What have you learned from book 1, YA, through book 2, YA, to now your third book, but your first adult, about the craft of writing both a soulful book, a moving and soulful book, but also one that is, as AJ Finn calls it, a genuinely thrilling psychological thriller. And obviously AJ Finn knows a thing or two about thrillers. What do you give us your thoughts on that from a craft perspective?
Yeah. So I mean, my first book, both of the YA books tackled difficult subjects. So the first book, Every Moment After, was about survivors, young survivors of a school shooting.
Mm-hmm.
The second book, Just Until, was about kids who are in the Maine state foster care system. So I was dealing with a lot of difficult topics. I was dealing with a lot of trauma. I was dealing with a lot of experiences that that are people out in the world really have, and that readers, I knew people were going to be reading the book who had experienced some of those things. And I think what that taught me was the importance of emotional authenticity when writing. That you have to do your research, and you have to try to be factually accurate, but you also really have to have an authentic emotional connection with your own work, with your own subject matter, and not try to be manipulative, not try to lean into it, not try to leverage that type of subject matter, but to just be authentic. And, I hope what AJ Finn is picking up on in that really lovely comment was some of the authenticity in this book about Richard's injury, about disability, about loss, about sacrifice. And, I hope that comes through.
Oh, I love that. I really love that you said that. Thank you, Joe. Sharon is saying that she loves the title Just Until.
I have to say, whenever that comes up, I have to say my wife came up with that title. She is way smarter than I am. And I was struggling with that title. And she was like, the book is about these people waiting just until things change. Everything is just until. The book is Just Until. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. So anyway, full credit to my wife, Leah, on that.
Thank you for giving full credit to a woman where it is due, Joe. We appreciate that. Okay, Renee wants to know, follow-up question to what you just said about the authenticity, and especially your earlier work about the school shooting. She wants to know, in your real life career as a psychologist, have you helped people that went through children that went through school shootings? If so, that must have been very difficult. She lives a half an hour from Parkland.
Yeah. So I've not, in my professional practice, worked with school shooting survivors. I heard after the publication of that book, I got a really very meaningful message from one of the Parkland school survivors who had read the book and shared that that she had been reluctant to read it. She wasn't sure if it was going to come across as manipulative or exploitative. Somebody had given it to her and she wasn't sure, and she decided to read. She was having a difficult day. And she decided to sit down and to read the book. And she read the book cover to cover in one day. And at the end of the day, when she was done with it, she opened up her email and sent me a message saying, just commenting on the book. And what she said that meant more to me than anything else was that she felt that I had gotten it right. And what I'm talking about in terms of the authenticity, she didn't mean like details and, event details like that. I think she meant like it was emotionally authentic, and that meant more to me than I could ever say.
That is very, very meaningful. You guys, I want to remind you that the book just came out last Tuesday, and Joe's coming on to give us the inside scoop and take your most pressing questions about To the Reckoning. You can order from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore that is, of course, Murder by the Book, and get your mitts on To the End of Reckoning. So whether you're watching with us on YouTube or Facebook, here is the link to order Joe's book, fresh off the presses, not even 1 week old. And you can immerse yourself in the world of Lukas and his dad, Richard, as Lukas returns from New York to take care of his dad, who has just sustained a traumatic brain injury. I want to talk about this review, this blurb from William Kent Kruger, because fun fact, William Kent Kruger was on Mavens for his last book. So here is the link to William Kent Kruger's interview on Mavens. And here is what William Kent Kruger has to say about To the End of Reckoning. He says, this book blew me away. Once I picked up the piece, it was impossible to put down. The usual Holmes-Watson pairing of father and son was pure delight. And after writing 20 mysteries of my own and reading hundreds of others, it is a joy to find a story whose twists and turns were so wonderfully unpredictable. Now, when William Kent Kruger was on, we talked to him about his process and his twists and turns. What have you learned about twists and turns that can wow William Kent Kruger? Joe, do you plot them out? Are you a plotter? Are you a pantser? Do you go back and put them in? Do you twist and turn as you go? Give us a peek into your process.
Yeah, well, first of all, William Kent Kruger, I mean, just like, wow. You know, like, I mean, I got to interview him for the program that I used to do, and just like, what a lovely person and wonderful writer. And I can't say enough good things. I tend to be a little bit more of a pantser. I have a very difficult time sort of just like sitting down and like charting out the whole book and being like, oh, at the end of the second act, there's going to be this twist and then there's going to be that twist. I can't really think that way. I kind of have to feel my way through it. And what I find will usually happen, Sarah, is that I like to write early in the morning. And so I try to get up before everybody else in the house. I sit down. I try to write, except for my cat, who will get up with me. I sit and I write, and I can't figure out what's going to happen. And then I walk away and I do all the other stuff we talked about, the adulting, paying the mortgage, going to the office, getting groceries, you know, all that stuff. And what'll happen is that oftentimes at some point during the day, the twist, the turn, the thing that's just right, the whatever will just pop into my head, and I have to be sort of ready to catch it and ready to capture it. And then I kind of put it in. So, I mean, I feel my way along, and I think it's kind of a process of kind of getting the wheel turning and then sort of like sitting back and letting the little gremlins down in the mind sort of do their work.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so Joe is team morning. And Renee actually had asked, and I missed it accidentally, if you have a pet, and if it is a cat or a dog. So you're a cat guy.
I have 2 cats. They hate each other. They do not get along. And one of them likes to hang out with me while I write.
Oh my God. Okay. You're a cat guy. Okay, good. Okay. So 2 cats, Renee. So to answer your question, which I missed, but it was a couple minutes ago, I accidentally scrolled past it, but she wanted to know about your cats, dogs, or other creatures. Okay. So 2 cats. Okay, good. And clearly they need, cat couple therapy because they don't.
They do. Oh, they really do. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, Renee, you and I are like totally vibing.
I think they do. I think we may go straight to medication for them. They're just like, they need something to mellow them out.
I mean, to be fair, I think it's unfair when we expect animals to get along. Like, we don't like all other people. I know I don't like all other people. So why do we expect animals to like each other? Maybe one cat sucks and the other cat recognizes that fact and is like, why have you made me live with this asshole? And now you're medicating me to be less angry about the fact that you've made me live with a real jerk.
It's very possible. It is very, they may need a cat divorce at the end of the day.
Yeah, so. Seriously, separate ends of the house.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this other review from Erica Forensic, who was also on Mavens for her last book, Girl in the Ice. And she says, hold on, I'm going to get back to it. A young aspiring actor returns home to take care of his ailing physician father in this moving, intensely readable story about what happens when filial love, ambition, and duty collide. The End of Reckoning is a propulsive, heart-rending mystery that delivers on both an intellectual and emotional level. And if you're interested in watching Erica's interview, you can go back through the Maven's Library and check that out. But meanwhile, I want to get to this Publishers Weekly review, because Publishers Weekly awarded you a starred review, Joe. So first of all, congratulations on that. And let's take a peek at that. They deemed it an auspicious, congratulations on that, adult debut. Moldover draws even minor supporting characters in 3 dimensions, which I think a lot of people don't do. Is like they spend so much time doing like really thoughtful characters on the main characters, and then they're like, oh, and this is his best friend, this is his dad, and it's like super one-dimensional. He said, making this elegant, Publishers Weekly saying, making this elegant core mystery much more satisfying than the average whodunit. That must have felt good to receive.
Oh my gosh, fantastic.
They said fans of character-driven crime fiction will eagerly await Moldover's next move. So Renee saying congratulations. So let's, are you, having dipped a toe into the world of adult and mystery, are you here to stay, or are you hightailing it back to YA? What's going on?
No, I'm here. I am hopefully here to stay. I'm working with my editor on a sequel to The End of Reckoning. And I hope that will be out maybe next year. And I would love to turn it into a series. I love these characters. And I think the things that, as a reader, the things that keep me in a series are the characters, wanting to spend time with those characters, see how they grow and develop over time. And I would love to stay with these guys over time and see where they go. So, knock on wood, that's what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah, you heard it here first on Mavens, y'all. We always try to give you one juicy tidbit that you haven't heard anywhere else. We love a secret. We love a secret. So Joe is currently working on the sequel and would love to make Lukas and Richard into a series. Stay tuned. Renee is in favor of that, all in favor of that, saying the characters are amazing. Robin saying, yay, we love to see a sequel. We had a few questions submitted in advance. I do want to get to those. We're going to hit the speed round. This one was from Pamela. She says, your protagonist, Lukas, is a young actor who drops everything in New York to return home and care for his father. She wants to know what drew you to explore this particular father-son relationship. And she'd like to know a little bit about how it shapes the way that they investigate the mysterious disappearance that is at the heart of the story.
Well, yeah, thank you for that question. I think part of where it came from just personally was at a time in my life where my father was struggling with some health issues. I think thankfully he's better now and doing very well now. So we're very thankful for that. But at the time that I was writing on this, he was really struggling. And I was kind of having that experience of being an adult whose parent needs their help or is not maybe not fully, as capable as they once were. So that was something that really influenced me and impacted me. And in the book, I think the key thing with the injury is that the brain injury to Richard takes his blinders off. And after the injury, he's able to see everything. He filters nothing out. Every detail hits him with full force. And it's a very difficult way for him to live, but it makes him a great detective if he has somebody with him, like Lukas, who can help him to manage that strain.
I'm so glad you touched on the traumatic brain injury, because this next question, which is from Alan, is about that. Alan would like to know, I'm going to read it so I get it exactly right. As a clinical psychologist yourself, as a clinical neuropsychologist yourself, you bring a lot of professional insight to Dr. Richard Moore's experience after his injury, his sharp observational skills alongside his changed mental flexibility. How did your real world work with brain injuries influence the way you portrayed this character and the way that these two men work together?
So I did my dissertation on traumatic brain injury when I was in
I didn't know that, Joe.
Yeah, that was what I did my dissertation on and what I published on. And so I kind of had academic background in that. I don't really work with brain injuries anymore, but I continue to work with people with cognitive difficulties, with diagnoses like ADHD, which in some cases can look similar to some people with brain injury. So I think that thinking about how do you support individuals who have some of these differences and challenges, and also what are some of the skills and abilities that can be uncorked or that can emerge when somebody thinks differently and processes differently, is just really part of the fabric of my life, part of the fabric of my day. My wife has this funny line where she says that this book is kind of like fan fiction to my doctoral dissertation, and I think that's like exactly right. It's like, this is stuff that I do, and it's just like so much fun to be able to play with it and to play in that sandbox.
Last question is going to go to Renee, who would like to know if, Sharon is saying, yay, cats. Okay, team cat. We get it, Sharon. You like cats. we see you, girl. We see you.
Yeah.
Renee wants to know, did your father read the book? If so, what did he think?
Yeah, my dad, the book is partly dedicated to my wife, who I dedicate all my books to, but also to my dad. Who's really influenced me and been important in my life. He read it. He read drafts as we were going along. He's read every mystery under the sun. My dad has been a mystery reader his whole life. So he's not a writer, but he has a great instinct for mystery plots. And so if he says, it's right around here that they should discover X. I'm not going to tell you what X is, but they should make this discovery. It's like, yeah, that's probably about the right rhythm, I guess. I bet that's probably about the right pacing. So yeah, my dad gave me feedback on the book. He read manuscripts. He read the book itself. I think he likes it. Like I said, at the end of the day, this book is about a father and son who love each other and are devoted to each other. And that is true of me and my dad.
Let me ask you this, Joe. If your dad did your dad give you any feedback that made you have to go to therapy to process it?
I did not. He did not send me to therapy. No.
Why didn't you like chapter 3, Dad? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
You and your dad going to therapy to work through why you killed him in chapter 58.
Right.
Just kidding. The dad lives. That's not
dad lives. Yeah, dad lives.
That's not a spoiler. Oh my God, but that would be funny because actually I have another friend who shall remain nameless who killed the mother in the story, and her mother called her, was like, you killed me. And she was like, it's not you. And she's like, because it seems an awful lot like me.
I'm always threatening my sister that I'm going to name the murder victim after her. So,
or the bad guy, the murderer.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Robin saying, this is so true, Robin. I find it truly amazing that there's so much of the brain still to be mapped and explored. That is so true. Okay. Very, very last question, because we are over time. Sharon wants to know, how much research did you do on TBIs?
I mean, I've been, researching. I mean, as I mentioned, I did my dissertation on it on TBI in graduate school many years ago. So I've been doing research on TBIs kind of my whole adult life, and sort of more broadly on things like executive functioning deficits and that type of stuff. So, I mean, researching this book was just kind of an extension of the rest of my life. It was just kind of part of my day.
Oh, I love that. And Robin says I missed it, but she said she misses your show and she wanted to thank you so much for doing it. She wishes you were still doing it.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, we are out of time. Oh, thank you for all the hearts, you guys. I see all your bouquets of hearts coming up. Thank you. We are out of time. Time flies when you are having fun. So I just wanted to give you guys the link again. So Joe's book is 6 days old. Baby's not even 1 week old. And you can order it from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. It was just Independent Bookstore Day last week. So here again is that link to click and order. Get your mitts on to the end of Reckoning and support hold the book up, Joe. Don't be shy. Support woman-owned independent bookstores. Okay, Mavens, thank you so much for spending your Mystery Monday with me. I hope your week is off to a killer start. May the days and the pages fly by. And remember, I will see you next week. I'll be freshly back from the Santa Barbara Literary Festival. So stay tuned. And remember, there is a chance to win, to come on the show with me as I interview an author at the Santa Barbara Literary Festival. So, thanks for all the hearts, you guys. So thank you. Thank you for everyone to watch. Thank you for everyone to lurk. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Linda, Brian, Renee, Karen, Judy. Oh my gosh, Joey, hi. Jane with a Y. Oh my gosh, hi everybody. Mary, thank you. So good to see you, everybody. Okay, I'm not going to get to everyone, but I see you. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week.